Well, it is early in the morning on May 15th, and I'm joined right now by Inero from Golden Guardians as the MSI games are happening to talk about something that is not happening at MSI, which is some changes to the Golden Guardians roster. So, Inero, tough split, I know, 10th place finish. I
Yeah.
think some people might not be surprised to see some changes happening to the roster, but, I don't think that there was anyone who really felt like there was one simple change, So I'm kind of curious what it is that you guys are doing ahead of the summer split.
Um, yeah, so assuming this is out at the same time we're doing our post about it,
It
but
will be.
okay. The LCS team for us is going to be Solo moving in and Chime moving up from Academy. Um, with that, Niles will be competing in Academy and Newbie will be competing in Academy as well.
All right.
That is my alarm telling me to wake up.
Yes.
Whoops.
Good morning. Good morning. That's a testament to how early. If both of us seem a little out of sorts, it's because we're gamers and not used to this time.
Yeah.
Regardless. So, what was the reasoning behind these moves? Because I think a lot of people will hear this news and say, well, especially with Niles, oh, he skipped Academy. Of course, this was inevitable. And I don't know
Yeah.
what led to these moves, and do you feel like they were parts of mistakes on the Golden Guardian side?
hmm Yeah, so essentially use spring to give these guys all a chance. Like I told them coming in, like I'm not going to bench any of you in spring, as long as we're just sticking to our plans of improvement and we're getting better at that. We're going to stay committed to this through the first split, so we can at least see what you've got and give you the chance to improve over like obvious hurdles that are going to be there as a extremely new player. Even for our guys coming in from academy like a Blaze Olive, still giving that chance. Um, but for this, we were already planning to make changes going into the off season in terms of like internal testing. We'll always do something like I really believe in since I worked in academy, doing like academy trials with the LCS team. So we started up practice on April 11th. So we had like a really, really short break. Like we've been scrimming for like a month now, a month and a couple of days. Um, so we're doing trials with that, giving our academy guys a chance to test things out, give them feedback, especially since as soon as the LCS season ended, we spent our time with the academy team. We're helping them since the coaching staff was missing there after a change that we made. Um, and yeah, ultimately it just came down to trying to find the right dynamic with our group. There are obviously going to be struggles in our team. Some that aren't just going to be like specific player focused, but more so how the team functions together, like bouncing off of our strengths and weaknesses. One of those big things was the communication aspect of things between our support and jungle, which like Chime coming in was really, really good at that. And that's something we picked up on him from Academy as a big strength, which we thought really, really enabled Iconic to perform a lot better in the games that we practiced with. And then alongside that, obviously moving Newbie out to Academy with that, we're lacking a lot of the like veteran presence that we still had on the team. I don't think a lot of people realize that. I know when they talked about it, like we don't have two veterans or anything like that on the team. Like Newbie actually is like he's been around for a while, and the whole goal coming in was that Stixay and Newbie together. We're giving Newbie like a chance to prove himself in the LCS, while also providing that veteran presence to the team. That would be like our stable lane to play around, and we'd have support jungle with a veteran in it. But ultimately, this wasn't working as well as we thought it would, and obviously that's a failure on like my end as a coach. I'm trying to bridge that gap. So with that, we were finding a lot more success having that stability around top lane. Um, Niles was a big like cornerstone for our team in terms of communication, and he was like the big driving force behind a lot of our wins, actually like forcing engages for us and giving the team that confidence. But with Chime moving in, we were really not necessarily needing that as much as we were needing just stability in the early game, which is something that Niles is definitely working on, and he's made a lot of improvements on, especially in this offseason. Um, so this is ultimately just the best fit for us, and I think as well, like Niles has been performing a lot better in that practice environment down in academy too, which I think will just help him develop a lot better as well, and that's the goal.
So one of the praises that Golden Guardians received from folks, including I think myself, was okay. Yeah, like this is probably not a Worlds team, but they are bringing in a lot of fresh talent.
hmm
Um, it's a bit different of a dynamic now because not only do you have Stixay down there, and I know you said Newbie was a veteran, right? But certainly not a veteran within the context of the LCS or
Yeah.
major regions. Now you're bringing Solo in, who is I think maybe one of the oldest guys in the league.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he's a grandpa.
both by playing and also just by age. So obviously, personal age shouldn't factor in too much. So is there a world now where like you guys are kind of missing the plan? Like as you are trading out these rookies for more veteran players, are we kind of just starting to go back to that model for a lot of these like middle of the pack teams of like, we've got a couple rookies and we got a couple veterans, and so it's not enough to really like develop as much, but it's not enough to like win as well.
No, like still for me, if we're sitting on the development of things, I still think it's pretty important to have like 3 rookies in, which is still what we're sitting on, unless we're not going to count Olive and Iconic as rookies now that they've played like one split, you know?
No,
Like those guys
I
are still
understand.
new.
Yeah.
Like Chime's moving up, like it's his chance on that too, and he hasn't had that opportunity yet. So still pretty committed to developing these guys, and it's definitely not us like abandoning Niles at all either. He's still going to receive the exact same resources. He's just going to be in less of a like high pressure environment with that. He's still going to be working with Brandon, the top lane positional coach, all day.
So on one side of the map, you have Stixay, who spent all of his career essentially with CLG. On the other
Yeah.
side of the map, you have Solo, who's been known as kind of like a team hopper. And I mean, people, he doesn't get like the Dardoch levels of flack, but people do sort of accuse him, or there are statements made of him being a very aggressive person to work with. So,
Yeah.
I mean, how much was that brought into consideration, and are there any concerns there?
I think that was more so of a consideration in terms of something we were worried about in off season before like ever making a move on that. Like generally you'd want to not combo those things together if you think that that's a risk with new players. I know that's something like I've worried about in the past, where usually people that are considered like toxic just have really high expectations of their team and really want to succeed, and that's what's pulling it, which working with rookies usually makes that tough. Um, but for Solo, like coming in, I haven't seen any issues with them. I haven't honestly like seen anything that's given me that like idea of it. And I've worked with people that have been like very difficult to deal with in the past, and you can usually tell up front like what it'll turn into. Hasn't been any problem with that at all. Like he's a pretty good guy. He's pretty like chill to interact with. I've known him for a while. I've interacted with him outside of the game too. Um, so I'm not really concerned with anything on that end. And I think like the veteran presence we do have is already kind of to show in our practice. Like it's really, really helpful to have another just voice from the player end of things to help lead the team in game, rather than just having to rely on like the veterans we have outside of the game in terms of coaches to just lead the team during that time and hope it carries over in game.
What is the new goal for Golden Guardians, or is there a new goal? Because obviously now this team is considerably, I think, for a lot of analysts, considered better than potentially a 10th place team, right? It certainly makes you guys more competitive than you previously had, just by the sheer veteran presence and the changes there. So, what are your sort of expectations and hopes for the team this split?
Well, our goal is still very focused towards next year. We're trying to build up these guys for next year and building around the pieces that we think are the correct ones going forward. But obviously, like playoffs still remains a goal for us. Like it's just a short step goal to prove that we're doing well with what we've got. I know like playoffs is still the whole like 8-team format, so it's not like it's a very
but it's you
far
also
off
have
goal
to carry over your spring record, so that's
Yeah. So we're playing a bit of catch up because obviously we only had 3 wins, but ultimately I think it's 4 wins that we have to catch up on to reach 8th. So mainly just fighting to get that back. Just even making the playoffs is like a good goal for it. But the main thing that matters for me is just to show just more improvements on jungle, mid, and support with these guys that we weren't really able to show on stage last split. I'm really just hopeful to see like that stuff that we were able to get done in practice just finally translate on stage and like have that same level of confidence, because that's really where we were just struggling. It just wasn't coming across because we weren't necessarily like ready at that point.
Okay. Well, I think we can kind of round it out because obviously we focused a lot on the LCS team. What do you think these changes mean for the academy team? I don't know enough about the Golden Guardians Academy team to kind of understand what throwing Niles and newbie into it means, but would love
Yeah.
to kind of get your context on what happens there now.
I think Niles will really kind of take over as a leader on that team. He was already kind of, even though you would expect like Stixay would be the leader, like in game or something with it. That wasn't like our expectation. And coming in like Niles really was that person. I expected he's really going to take over in terms of that in the academy team too. But we're bringing on like new coaches to work with that team as well, and Think Card and Croissant. I believe those guys have already been announced as well. Those guys have like a large amount of experience. Croissant working with TL and Optic. Think Card worked with me on Echo Fox and was working with Clutch when they went to Worlds. Um, like these guys coming down do have like a little bit of extra experience of the LCS side and have worked together with these academy guys through the last split, with the fact that we've been changing between the rosters for a while. I think it'll just be like a nice new low pressure environment for them where they'll get to like perform a lot better. And I honestly have really high expectations for them as a team. I think Niles will be able to prove himself better, be able to really like showcase himself, as well as Leandro and Prismal. That's newbie and Prismal. I think they'll actually work really together really well as a duo. Prismal's very vocal. He's a very vocal player and has a clear idea of what he wants to do. And I think that'll help Leandro a lot, as well as Rose Thorn also is very, very vocal. And I think that'll help him too, to really showcase their strengths a lot better.
Very good. Well, Inero, thank you so much for the interview. Looking forward to seeing what Golden Guardians can do this year. Is there anything that you'd like to say to any of the Golden Guardians fans out there?
Any of the Golden Guardians fans. Yeah, thanks, guys. I kind of say the same thing every time with these, but I really do appreciate the guys sticking along, supporting the team that we have. Hoping to build this back up to where we were the last year. That's going to take some time, but I'm really confident with the staff that we have that we can actually do that given the right time.
Very good. Well, thank you again for the interview, and for everyone else, you can check out the rest of my off-season. I don't know if this is off-season, the in-between season coverage right here on my YouTube channel. Hello. Thanks so much for watching that video. I really appreciate it. By the way, have you seen our hot tub streams? Mark and I are doing hot tub streams every day after the MSI matches, and they're increasingly getting depressing because of how things are going. No, we're having a good time. We're having a good time.
Why would I be too upset? I still think we get out. Oh my god. How's your laptop?
It's I think it barely avoided getting hit. It's mostly okay.
I'm a hot tub streamer!
So be sure to check it out. I'm getting a bit of a sunburn. I have a sunburn, right? I don't know if you can see. Does this show up? Does this show up? Anyway, that's over at twitch.tv/Travis Gafford. And you know what's awesome is we're streaming it on an Alienware computer. And you know what else is awesome? Alienware just announced some really cool stuff, including the X Series notebook. Go just do yourself a favor and Google Alienware X Series. Take a look at their new notebook. There's more information coming about them June 1st, so stay tuned for that. And check out their link in the description.